Brandon, I'll start with you. As a player, tell me, how much harder will it be for Baker and the Browns to pull off the upset without having their head coach there?
Woo. Jenna, I struggled with this one. As soon as the news broke that Coach Kevin Stefanski wouldn't be with the team because of COVID-19, I didn't know how important it would be, how big of a deal. So I started writing a few things down. I wrote down, all right, what does a coach bring to the table? What are the intangibles? Leadership, game management, play calling, and then also experience. So when you think about leadership, I think that the Cleveland Browns won't miss his leadership. Teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Seattle Seahawks, if they lose a Coach Tomlin, if they lose a Pete Carroll, I think that's a big deal. Game management, I don't know. This is a huge deal, but I don't know if this is where he thrives. I don't know if this is his place of genius, talking about Coach Kevin Stefanski. A lot of these coaches these days have experts sitting in a booth in their ear talking about situational football, talking about game management. I think they can get that covered by their special teams coach, and if they have a guru sitting in the booth. Play calling. This is a big deal for the Cleveland Browns. There's a lot of head coaches out there that are also play callers. You look at Coach McVay out in Los Angeles. And Kevin Stefanski, this is his place of genius. This is where they could potentially be really hurting come game day. Because when you look at him, it's not about just creating plays. It's about, can you dial it up? Okay, it's 3rd and 2 and 3. We've shown them 70% of the time we are going to hand the ball off. Is this the time to pull the ball, get Baker out, and throw the ball down the field? That's what they'll miss. It's that rhythm. It's, can you dial it up? And the last thing, Nick, is experience on the sideline, right? Obviously, it's his first time as a head coach in the postseason, but he sat on many sidelines going back to Minnesota, seeing Coach Himmer manage the team leading up to the game, after the game, during the game, all those things. So I'm not sure how big of an impact this will be.
So I think it's a pretty massive impact, and I think it's a massive impact for this year and for next year, because you mentioned experience, and this now robs Kevin Stefanski of gaining playoff experience this year. One of the reasons I think people understandably might be bullish on the Buffalo Bills is because Sean McDermott, their young but very good head coach, has playoff experience. Even if the Browns were going to go one and done, lose their first playoff game, that could be, as I've talked about all year, the building blocks they have to go through. It could be a positive experience for Stefanski to learn what he did right and what he did wrong. That's now taken from him unless they upset the Steelers, and then he can come back for the divisional round. So in that regard, I do think it's a big deal. I also think it's a big deal on the play calling front that you laid out there, Brandon. That's what he's there for. He is there to design offenses, to script those first 15 plays, and to put Baker Mayfield in the best position to succeed. And with all that said, Wilds, I don't even know, as much of a loss as Stefanski is, that he's the biggest loss. Because Joel Bitonio being out is a huge deal. For the way the Browns try to run their offense, run the football, play action pass, get Baker on the move, having arguably your best offensive lineman not there is a massive loss for them. So especially against this Steelers front. So for all these reasons, a game that I think I was leaning towards picking that the Browns to upset the Steelers, I now have to reevaluate entirely. And by the way, the line moved from 3.5 to 6. So I think a lot of people are reevaluating the chances Cleveland has of winning this game.
Yeah, you make a good point about the offensive line. Remember when the Browns played the Jets, the big headline was they're missing their 4 wide receivers because they were all, the bath, the hot bath, cold bath, whatever it was. But they also lost their offensive linemen. And then they couldn't run the ball. So even though they didn't have their wide receivers, Brandon, they still kept throwing the ball around. That's how important the offensive line was. They still kept running the ball. I think it's a big deal, Brandon. And the only real parallel we've seen of coaches missing games was the Lions, when Brady torched the Lions and actually sat for part of the game because he was so perfect in the first half. The Steelers got healthier. The Browns got less healthy, Brandon. I know that you recently jumped on the Cleveland bandwagon, but the Steelers were your Super Bowl pick. Does this move your heart in any one direction? I know you're a hometown hero Steelers, but now, like, the Browns are even more underdogs. Does it make you want to root for the Browns a little bit more against the Steelers?
You know what? The first person I thought about was Baker Mayfield. I thought this could be really good for him, or really, really bad for him, because he has this mentality, right, where he can go into a game and say, you know what, it's me against the world. Now I got to put the team on my shoulders and get it done because I don't have my guy. And he can go out there and throw 3 picks. Or if he goes into that locker room, galvanize the guys and say, it's not just me, it's going to be all of us picking up where coach left off, and we're going to go get it done together, lead his team to victory, and possibly have amazing story talking about how Baker Mayfield led his team to victory past the Pittsburgh Steelers in his first playoff game. So that's the first person I thought about and how I'm rooting for him. But it could be really bad, Nick.
Well, listen, I do think, even if it makes Baker's job far, far more difficult, I do think that it gives him an amazing opportunity, even more so than he had as of 96 hours ago, to write an unbelievable script. We talk all the time about the futility of the Cleveland Browns. A little context here. The last time the Cleveland Browns won a road playoff game was the first year of the Richard Nixon administration. It's been more than 50 years since Cleveland won a road playoff game. So if they do that by going to Pittsburgh, by beating Big Ben and Mike Tomlin, and doing it without their head coach, it absolutely is an unbelievable coup for the entire team, but in particular, Jenna, for Baker, the face of that team.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.